Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the Nearshore Cafe podcast. This is season 3, and in season 3, we touched on a lot of really great topics. Today, we're going to meet Fernando Soto, a business analyst working from Mexico, supporting the US. Before we get into Fernando's story and how it all works, we want to thank our sponsor, Plug Technologies, plugg.tech, great way to connect talent from all over Latin America to growing U.S. companies. Fernando, so great to have you.
Great. Thanks. Thanks a lot.
Fernando, for those that don't know you, where are you dialing in from?
I currently live in Guadalajara, Mexico, but I was born and raised in Tijuana. So you could say I've lived half my life in each city.
Yeah.
So Tijuana gave me my roots. Guadalajara has shaped my career, actually.
Okay.
So both have been like instrumental in shaping who I am. So personally and professionally. So what else I can say?
Yeah.
I'm married.
Well, maybe let me ask. So for those who've never been to, so Tijuana is an interesting city because it's a place I think a lot of Americans know as like a fun place. You go, you party, but not many. We don't know many that that live there. So what should we know about Tijuana as a city to live, culture, food, things like that?
I recently went there and I love it. Some people say they don't like it because I don't know, they haven't lived there. Other people have said, yeah, I love it there. Anthony Bourdain,
Yeah.
he was in San Diego, and I think we talked about this now. He was in San Diego and they were interviewing him and they asked him, where can you find the best restaurants, the best food? And he said, not here. Go south, Tijuana. So cuisine is excellent, even better than here in Guadalajara. In some things, some dishes are much better over there. I
When
can
you when you
say
go, when you go when you go back to visit, what's like the number one thing you have to eat while you're there?
Chinese food.
I love that answer. Tell us more. Tell us more about the Chinese food scene in Tijuana.
I think there are many Chinese from long time ago. They're like behind the scenes in the restaurants, and it's occidental, how to say, occidental Chinese food, not real. Because if you go to China, it's like a whole world of cuisine, but this is like they adapted the Chinese food for us, And I know a place in Mexico also. I think it's called China Girl, which is similar. But here in Guadalajara, I haven't seen any other like gift tanks can match it, but they give you like very small portions.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, believe me, every single restaurant is very good. And I went there. I was like, yeah, I want to go. Yeah, and it's
That's
not expensive.
that's fantastic. I love it.
Yeah.
And then what do you remember about growing up in Tijuana? Is it a big place for soccer, music, things like that?
I'm not very good. I'm not very good at sports, because they actually tell me here in Guadalajara, hey, do you like soccer? And I say, no, I'm from the north. And they say, oh, you like baseball? I say, wrong again. I don't know. I used to run track and field,
Okay.
100 meters, and teachers, I don't know what's up, it's like I told them 100 meters. That's it.
Yeah.
Just sprint.
Sprinter. Yeah.
And they gave me, yeah, I'm a sprinter, and I always won. I didn't have to practice or anything or train or anything, and they always gave me 400, 800 meters. It's like so. I just in one place, in one time I just stopped at the middle of the track, and I was winning. So I was like 100 meters in, and then I was I couldn't finish,
Yeah. The
and I
lactic
saw one of my
acid.
friends going like this.
The lactic acid builds up.
Yeah.
So were you always into IT and computers?
No, not really. No, I I loved animals, so this is a big twist
Yeah.
here. So, but in Tijuana, it's a small city. In that time, there were not many universities that had veterinary or veterinary. I think I wanted to be a veterinarian. you know, Go figure. And I think the closest one was in Ensenada, was like a marine biologist, something like that. And I couldn't go to the United States. I had a passport, but I can't study there because I'm not a U.S. citizen. Plan B, it's like, what do I like second best? And I say, well, computers. Let's start. And I started going to classes. I was very young. I was like 16 probably, and I started liking it.
Mm.
So that's what I did.
Yeah.
And then I went to university, and then I came here to Guadalajara to visit my sister. It was a round trip, and she was a single mother with a 1 year old. And somehow I just left everything and stayed with her.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's when I met my girlfriend, and she became my wife, and I stayed here. They didn't let me leave. I wanted to take him back to my hometown, but Guadalajara, and many people know this, women from here, they will not leave this place.
That's
So
funny.
she won. I stayed.
Well, I want to ask more about that, but tell us more about
Yeah.
the university scene, like the university. Where did you go to school? It was in Tijuana, right? And
Yeah.
tell us
Actually, I didn't
a
finish it.
little more about that. Yeah.
It's a funny story because it was called Autónoma University Universidad Autónoma de Baja California. And it was like not public
Mhm.
university, but it was very tied to the industry there. So and I learned this way after. I felt, halfway that the university, I felt really stupid. And I said, no, this engineering is not for me. And I actually dropped and came to Oaxaca and continued study and finished engineering. This is the problem, Somehow, and I said, somehow in the plane, I got my IQ grew
Mhm.
because in the university that I finished it, I got like straight A's. Over there, I studied, and couldn't make it. So later, I found out that there was like a little corruption of the industries over there, maquiladoras they're called. They say, hey, stop, we don't want engineers anymore. So please don't, give them a hard time. Like, well, that was the answer maybe from school. We were like 30 in 30 and only like five passed like exams like with one question, like or two questions. So the minimum was seven from 0 to 10. The minimum was seven. We don't have like A, B, and we have like 0 to 10. And with a two question exam, you either got a zero, a five, or a 10. So, and the minimum was seven. So I was like, oh, thank you. We had like one question exam, a problem very difficult.
Yeah.
So it's like 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. Everyone's zero. It's like, wow. So I felt stupid at that time. So I talked with one of my friends who also went there, and he's the one that told me because he was in the student union or something, and he knew that one of the teachers blabbed it out, like say, "Hey, yeah, there's like these companies are," and it's not the case anymore. Is that it was that back then, and but now that you have to pay for your university, they stopped. I don't know. They stopped making things harder for students, so they can pass.
Yeah.
There was like an intent, a bad intent.
Yeah. So you're a business analyst today, supporting a U.S. customer
Yeah.
and doing it from your home office in Guadalajara.
Yes.
Tell us about the last couple of years and like what led to this point today. Even in the role itself is interesting. You're kind of at the crux of business and technology and working with users.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
So
Tell us more.
I need to tell a little bit about the history there. So, my journey in tech started at HP, Hewlett Packard here in Guadalajara. So there I spent around 16 years. And then, I started as a developer engineer. So back in 2010, I was working, as a developer. And when I asked to join a project as a business analyst, and my honest reaction was, cool, what the hell's that? So I didn't know. And actually, nobody knew back then. Huh? Right now, it's a role that's like, everywhere. At that time, the only real growth path most of us saw was becoming a project manager or a manager, if you pull some strings there. As I started learning more about the BA role through hands-on experience and later certifications, I realized I really liked it. To me, a business analyst is the unsung hero of IT. So it's a low-key role, but the impact is huge. At HP, it helped me. I helped formalize the role internally and even created a dedicated career path for other BAs. Many of whom had been doing the work for years without knowing the industry even recognized it as a distinct profession. I went on to get my CBAP certification. I have it here, like this, probably, the first in Jalisco at the time, which is considered, on par with the certification for project managers.
Mhm.
So I was even invited to speak at a PMI conference to talk about the BA role. Funny enough, after the talk, some folks from IBM, because remember that here in Guadalajara, we have all the tech companies are here, came to me and said, "Hey, thank you. Now I finally understand what I do." So over the years, I've worked on global projects across the US, Latin America, Brazil, Europe, and Asia. I've worked under both waterfall and agile methodologies. And I truly believe in the model where, PM, BA, QA, and dev all operate together.
Mhm.
We have that synergy regardless of the methodology, and it leads to strong outcomes and excellent projects that we deliver. So yes, very quickly on memorable challenge. I
Yeah.
once led a project with a team in Brazil. They didn't speak Spanish or English.
Oh, wow. Tell us, how did you navigate that? That's funny.
Yeah. And I didn't speak Portuguese. So Portuguese is very similar to Spanish, but if they speak fast, it's like any other language that you don't understand. So we spoke slowly, we typed in chat, and we made it work. So it was slower. Yes, we got it done. That's the reality of nearshore collaboration there. So
Which language were you typing in the chat?
Portuñol, we invented a language. Yeah, it was like a mix of Spanish and Portuguese, because English
Yeah.
was out of the question. They didn't speak English.
Spanish and
Well,
Portuguese. I like it.
yeah.
That's great. And
So
how big was that team?
I think it was about 15 people, and it was a tax project. Brazil taxes are part of the BRICS, and they're part of. They're difficult to understand, so they had to explain to us
Yeah.
many times, and I was like, okay. So they had good presentations. So, one, I'm going to say the truth, I was there 16 years. For me, I thought I was going to be there forever, was going to retire there and everything. So there's I got laid off somehow. I was jumping between departments. There was a split in HP because there were 300,000 employees worldwide.
Yeah. Right.
They split into HP Enterprise and HP Inc. And I went to HP Inc. So my team was divided in two. And my manager told me, hey, with everything you've done with the BA role and everything, and I thought I was going to be a manager or something, but nope. They said you're going to go to HP, and it was like an business architecture role that didn't work out. And then I ended up where I didn't want to, as a PM.
Mm.
I liked it, yeah, but I did the BA role in secrecy. So all the requirements I did it myself. So same project, I was doing probably all of those because I didn't have that dynamic of PM, BA. I was in finance.
Yeah.
Funny part there was that there was this manager who was a micromanager, and I couldn't. I honestly didn't like that one. So it was like I tried to go to another team. I went to another team, and I landed on another one, another manager the same way. And
Yeah.
then that's when I was there a couple of years, and then I was laid off, and for me was devastating.
Yeah. Sorry.
16 years, put
Yeah.
my heart and soul to that company, and then I was laid off. They didn't say it was me. They say, this is happening all around, and it was true.
That's right.
I recently learned that they're also laying off people with 16 years or more, something like that.
Yeah, no, it's a tough thing to go through. I'm curious from your perspective, Fernando, because you've
Yeah,
worked across so many different borders. The
yeah.
role of the business analyst, is it universally the same no matter what country you're doing it from, or have you seen any nuances or flavors that are put on it?
Yeah, this is recent, but before, usually the business analyst is a liaison between business and tech team. Because I don't know if in projects, if you want disaster, you take the technical team, like developers, and put them in a room with the stakeholder who's asking for the requirements. So they're more business
Yeah,
like.
yeah,
So this tech developer guy is going to start talking about databases, talking about spreadsheets, talking about very technical
yeah,
stuff, and business, they want everything high level.
yeah,
So we are in the middle,
yeah. I can
we're
relate
like
to that. Yeah,
translator a
yeah,
translator
yeah. I can relate to
So
that Do you feel like it's, well, I guess in your world, there's maybe two translations, right? It's like maybe you're doing Spanish to English, and then you're also doing business requirements to the technical requirements.
Yeah. Well, I actually the way that I learned English, I learned it at a very young age, and I don't think in Spanish like other
Yeah.
ESL. I still think it's my mother language is Spanish, but and they've told me that I have good pronunciation, or I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. And sometimes they've told me, "Hey, I can detect your accent." Okay, yeah, thank you. Didn't ask you. So
Yeah. That's funny. Well, I want to ask you, as someone who's been in this world for a long time, in the technical world, what are some best practices, for like we've got people listening that are maybe nearshore curious, they're thinking about, putting a team of Fernandos, in Mexico, and maybe they're in the States. What are some best practices or advice or guidance that you give these people to kind of set up their nearshore operation, their nearshore technical teams for success?
well, let me see. When I you know when I, what I can say is we have a very good talent in Mexico. There are a lot of universities here, and they teach like to global. Not They don't teach like oh, this company, local companies asking us for like what happened to us and to me in my university, that local companies are asking the university do this, do that. They were like leading.
Mm,
So here, no, it doesn't happen here in Guadalajara or other big cities here in Mexico, like Monterrey, Mexico City, Querétaro. The universities are aware of that global, of global companies that need talent. And now, this new trend, I think since the pandemic, they realized that we can actually work from home.
mm,
And it's some of the I love it. It's like I've been since the pandemic. They told us go home. It's going to be a week, and I'm still here since then. Two different companies. So I got fired in my home,
yeah.
and then I started a new company. I started in this new company with they actually saved my life actually. So I'm really grateful to them, and
Yeah.
they really appreciate it. And I'm like, I've been telling like my wife and my friends, this is how I've been doing. I did the same effort, the same kind of job, same effort where I was, but it was not appreciated. So I'm
Yeah.
like, I'm not doing anything. So it's like it was not me. So I was like,
Yeah.
because you doubt when they fire you, you feel like
Yeah. You get a little insecure and wonder. Yeah.
exactly, yeah. And like now I do the same, and I've been working the same as I always have, and they really appreciate it, and
Yeah.
and the culture is great.
Yeah, so maybe like a couple of the takeaways that I'm getting is that Mexico really teaches to a global technology world, and best practices in Chicago or San Francisco or London or wherever, the same things they're teaching in Mexico. So there's really not a whole lot of like adaptive, I need to change my style or framework or methodology. These guys are going to be able to plug right in. And then maybe the other thing that I'm hearing is that there's the same things that humans need everywhere, that employees need everywhere. They need acknowledgement, recognition, appreciation.
Yeah,
It's no special thing we would just do for Mexicans in the IT world. It's the same things we would do for anybody.
yeah, yeah. That's it. You got it. And the I don't know if it's across all companies, but this company that hired me is their culture. They have like a growth mindset culture, which
Yeah.
is awesome. They've never treated me any different. I'm a contractor. Now I'm not an employee. And I was the first one that they hired, and they told me, "Hey, guess what? You're gonna be our guinea pig." Actually, the agency told me that you're gonna be a guinea pig, and if that works for you, we'll hire more. We're gonna clone you. Okay,
Yeah.
it worked. I think I did I did things well.
Yeah.
So and they asked me to hire other VAs from Mexico, and we We had a bad experience with one of them, and it's something that happens. Working from home is it's like for me, it's a big perk, and some people don't really they take that for granted.
Yeah.
And we had this guy who was replaced. For me, he was like, for me, you're done. I'm done with you,
Sure.
because it was his attitude. And actually, the company gave him another chance. Oh my god, I was like, wow, it's like, God, he doesn't deserve it,
Yeah.
and he blew it. So just imagine, for me, he was done. For me, I say, I don't want to work with him anymore. So, but it's not the case. It's not always the case. We hired someone else, and we're doing great. There are three people from Mexico. We have actually one of them lives like 5 minutes from here.
Oh, cool.
Recently, I went to a barbecue. He invited me his
Yeah.
home, and we got together. So yeah. So it's
Good. Yeah. Good. Nothing like an asado to bring everybody together. And
yeah, carne asada. Yeah,
yeah.
and in work, I'm like leading that, because when I entered, I was alone, and my
Mm.
manager, he was like very very busy,
Yeah.
because managers were also doing like the BA work, like requirements management, writing tickets in Jira, design in Figma, all that, talking to the making presentations to the client. And I was like, oh, when I was in HP, managers, they just managed. They didn't do like uh, work, like what we did. And I tell these guys, like, take advantage. You're being trained in your language, because I'm trained in Spanish,
Mm.
and all the time, because for me, I don't know what happened, but am I smarter? I don't know, but they have me. Maybe they have me, and it's
Yeah.
like they're asking me like, hey, this, hey, that, hey, and I didn't have that, and I'm like, what? You guys have me. I
Yeah.
didn't have myself when I came in
Yeah.
this work. So I said,
No.
well, that's good for that.
No, that's great. Well, let me throw one more piece out there before we
Sure.
go. A lot is going on in the tech world, AI. I'm not even, so maybe in like a quick kind of rapid fire, how is AI impacting the role of the business analyst today? And then what do you maybe see coming up in the next couple of years?
Actually, AI is for everyone. Because people think that AI is like cheating
Yeah.
in exam, but I see it as hiring a very good assistant. Of course, this assistant has complete framework of computers, but the AI, and I just discovered it because I used it, but not as you used to. So I went to this course, I took a course, and I was like, wow, like we can reduce time, like 1/5 of what we do actually with AI, and companies are not catching up. Actually, that's what I'm saying. My niece, she's working in this company with, I think it's a realtor, and they have like this AI. They have chat. I can say them chat GPT,
Mhm.
but as a community, I didn't know that you
Yeah.
can use it. And so they upload all the documents of the company, but
Mhm.
whenever, because it's just doing things faster, because whatever an AI robot can, I can call it a robot.
Yeah.
I call it
Sure.
robot. Yeah, can do, a human can do, a robot can do it faster. That's it.
Right. Right. Yeah.
That's all, because they, instead of you going into the SharePoint of the company and looking at reading all the documents, AI does it like this. So
Right.
it's just the same way. Yeah. AI, if I see it this way, in 20 years ago, if you didn't know English or use a computer, you were illiterate somehow, digitally illiterate. Today, if you don't go into AI, and I don't mean just asking how's the weather, or just programming it, because you
Sure.
can program to whatever you want. Believe me, just go into, take a course. There are free courses everywhere for AI.
Hmm. Hmm.
Go there, because if you don't do it, you're gonna be left behind
Yeah.
in technology. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's my
I think that's great
advice.
advice. Great part of
Yes.
advice. Well, Fernando, this has been a lot of fun. I knew it would be. I knew
Thank you.
you'd have a lot of great stuff to say. You're listening to the Nearshore Cafe podcast. sponsored by Plug Technologies, plugg.tech. Great way to connect talent from all over Latin America with U.S. companies and great talent like Fernando in Latin America. Thanks again for listening. We'll see you next time.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks for joining us at the Nearshore Cafe podcast. Tune in